everybody. Welcome to Burnie's Applebox. I'm here with Gary Hyman.
My man.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. Good
Awesome. Good seeing you. It's Friday at 2 o'clock. And here we are again, live. That's right. So please help us share the show. Please share the show. And please give us some feedback. Ask us questions, give us comments, anything that you want to say, because we got a great show today.
Absolutely.
It's really good.
It's gonna be a good one.
Good one. And we're going to talk about, dealing with building a clientele.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. And we've got a really special thing on today. Dave Donaldson from Grip Tips. We did an interview with him yesterday, and he's given us all the lowdown about how he does it, all that good stuff,
Awesome.
what he's done, and he does such a fantastic job. So
It's great.
that's really
Looking forward
great.
to that.
Yes, absolutely. But Gary, as you know, we got some bad news here at the beginning of the show. Good friend of the show, good friend of Gary and I's, both. Terry Boatwright passed away last week.
Yes.
And Terry was an audio person, did a lot of work for Disney, of course, did a lot of work freelancing. I used to work with him. The last time I actually worked with Terry was on a Don Blackburn shoot. And, it just seems like yesterday. And
Always.
you get that phone call or that, the word, like, and you called me and sort of let me know that Terry had passed away.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a sad day. Terry leaves a wife and 2 young children. He was in his early 40s. And it's just so sad, you know.
That's unfortunate. All around great guy, easy guy to be with on set. And we're going to truly miss him.
Truly miss him. And I think, Gary, too, Terry is in sort of a unique position in my mind, because I met Terry after I just had started establishing myself in the business. So I was working quite often. I was getting to know a larger group of people, of which you were one.
Circle.
And Terry came to you in sort of the same fashion with somebody and says, hey, I want to be an audio guy. Can I help you? Do all that, and I knew him from being a kid. There was one thing he said to me too that I've got to, and because it was so funny, because you see the guy's trajectory in the career. I remember he was young, he was about 23, and he goes, why are you guys always talking about work all the time? Why do you just, you can do freelances, you can take a day off, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And of course I have a conversation with Terry 10 years later, and he goes, I'm just looking for work, no one's calling. Why can't I? It's what we all go through in this business, and it's certainly what Terry experienced, like we all do.
Absolutely.
And I think that's, not as a segue here, but we are going to talk about that on how you build a clientele today and all that stuff. But our most sincere condolences to Paula and family and the kids.
Yes.
Our heart breaks for you. Terry was a great guy.
Absolutely.
And young family like that, it's pretty tough. But we'll
I remember Terry the last couple of years. The downside of the freelance business is always trying to get new clients, new work.
Yeah.
But the last couple of years hasn't been a great time in this industry.
Right.
About new clients and new work. So it drags you down a little bit.
Yeah.
It takes you down that slide.
Yeah.
So you just gotta hang in there and do your best to present yourself as the guy.
As the thing. And that trajectory that happens because we'll get into this more later on, but when you start out, it's all blue sky.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you get on as a PA. This is my experience. You get on as a PA. That's a touchdown. It doesn't get better than that at that moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? And as you start going through and building a career, building a clientele, all of that. All of the problems that come with that of course you didn't think about because you had no knowledge base to understand them, they start coming, and now you have to deal with issues.
Absolutely.
Some personnel issues, some political issues, different things like that. That can throw you off if you're not ready for it. You have to be prepared to be able to deal with it. That's part of your career. It's not all just getting jobs and going out and doing things. You have to position yourself.
You have to position yourself, and you always have to be ahead of that learning curve, and on the technical end and the equipment end.
Yes, 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 absolutely. In fact, it's the equipment end, the business side, and you continually have to be hunting new clients.
Always.
You have to have a formula for presenting yourself to new
Absolutely.
clients all the time.
Right. They're not going to search you out. You have to search them
That's
out.
right, and you have to show your value. They're not going to tell you your
Right,
value.
right.
You know,
That's-
so
it's so true.
that's what it is. That's what it is. You know, I'd like to get into this Dave Donaldson. Take a look at what he talked about with grip tips yesterday.
Great.
That was so good. He is such a great guy, and there is another example of somebody who I think is a young guy who is out there looking at the marketplace and doing something really bold. You know, and he's out of Detroit. You know, he's not here in LA or anything like that. But he is making quite a name for himself, and it was funny to talk to him because he has that totally sort of isolated view that we all have when we're dealing on social media and everything. I go, dude, everybody knows you, and he goes, really? Really? I go, yeah, everybody talks about you. You know, I don't know, at least once or twice a week.
Wow.
Grip Tips comes up with me. I'm talking to somebody will refer to it or what he's doing and all that. So, you know, you're making a difference out there. You don't always know it, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Grip Tips is a great show.
Yeah.
And lots to learn.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
from all those
We're going to watch a couple too.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to watch a couple
check it
here
out.
too. So I think, Sean, are you good with? Oh, let me introduce the guys. Let me introduce the
those
guys.
guys.
Those guys. They show up every Friday.
Yeah, for some reason. Wow.
Hey, Sean, Ryan, Tony Hope, how you doing, guys?
Doing well.
Awesome, super.
We just show up here. We don't
Yeah.
know what we're doing.
Thanks for getting me on the air. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Because there wouldn't be a show without those guys. But yeah, let's take a look at our talk with Dave. All right, here we go.
Shot. And in 5,
Dave is the guy who did very good.
in 5, 4, 3.
Hey everybody, I'd like to introduce Dave Donaldson. Dave, are you there? There he is,
Hey.
right there, the man himself. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Just in case you live in like Antarctica or something, Dave is the guy who does grip tips. And Dave, I'm just telling you, buddy, I fell in love with what you were doing the first time I saw it, and you have kept it up so awesomely. It's just fantastic. Congratulations. That is a really, really great. These guys are debating right now if awesomely is a word. They're obviously way behind the times, so forgive them.
Wordsmith.
Yeah, right. But dude, you do such a fantastic job. It's just really great. Thank you much.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I think I called and introduced myself to you one time after seeing him, and was just, you know, just so impressed with what you do. How long have you been doing these?
Well, Grip Tips has probably been, I'd say, I think we're at like 2.5 years now.
Wow.
I started it then. Yeah. And if you look at some of my older episodes, which were god awful, I was standing in front of a wall in front of a light that my roommate gave me for Christmas. And it said cinema and it flashes, which I think Greg Flores has that. I think I saw that last
that's
time you did one
awesome.
of these interviews.
I'll
Pretty
have to
sure
ask
he has
him.
the same. But yeah, from then until now, and just kind of a couple of things that I've kind of taken from other influences that I've watched. You know, I think I think everybody can see that a big inspiration for me has been from Film Riot and the way that they had structured their show. And so I kind of take that, and I'm still doing film, but I'm not doing kind of like they do everything on that show, where I was like, there's not enough grip and electric being talked about on their
Discussed,
show.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my motivation to kind of start it. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like, okay, there's a heck of a lot more. And you see some other people who talk about grip and electric, but they're saying, okay, now we're going to we're going to take this speed rail and do something else. But it's like, you can see it may, if you don't know, you're looking at what they're putting together and you're like that. And if you know better, you're like, that's not speed rail. That's galvanized. That's EMT that you got from Home Depot. And I was like, this really needs to be explained and give people more confidence and know, like what we do, because it's just a misconception all the time. What is a gaffer? Everybody sees that on the credits. And I don't know about you, but that's something that I get asked all the time. So
completely. Everybody wants to ask me, what's the best boy? What's the best boy do? Why is it? Can a woman be a best boy too? Yes.
Oh my God.
I mean, but you think about it, and people see these terms, and this is one of my primary things for Applebox Network. It's media ignorance. Everybody consumes these thousands of hours of media every year of their life, for their entire life. Certainly mine. TV's been around, all my life. And nobody questions it. Nobody questions why you're seeing what you're seeing, or how it's made, or what it takes, or why it's constructed, and all of that. And I like exploring that. I like people to know that. I like people to think about it more than they actually think about it, because I'm in a business of production value, and I say the more you know about the medium, the more valuable production value is to you.
Oh, totally.
So that's kind of my take on it. But yeah, and you're educating people. I mean, they're really very, very well done, and that's why I love them. But I'd like to find out about you a little bit too. How did you get your start? What brought you into this industry?
Actually, I should say, like, ever since I was a kid, most people that I think who have either gone to camera or grip and electric or makeup or anything, I think a lot of us have started off as like actors or comedians, and that was kind of the same thing for me. When I was in middle school, I really wanted to act. I guess I probably just wanted some sort of fame type thing, I guess. But ultimately, it was just kind of like I got into like entertaining a lot of people. I was kind of the funny kid in class all the time. Then I went into high school. I started doing some more scripted acting. In high school, I was doing a lot of improvisation and realized that maybe stand-up comedy was more what I wanted to do, which I feel like I'm miswording this, but I kind of knew that I always wanted to do stand-up comedy. Because when I was really little, I actually heard Dennis Leary's "No Cure for Cancer," which I probably wasn't supposed to listen to at the time, but my parents and aunts and uncles were listening to it downstairs, and I could hear it through the vents into my room. And I just remember thinking that crowd reaction, I really wanted to hear more of that. And then with acting in high school and improvisation in high school. When I was in improv in high school, Whose Line Is It Anyway was huge with like Drew. So they actually opened up an improv group in our school, or in our high school. And I was part of that from like my sophomore year to senior year, ended high school then, and then decided to start doing stand-up comedy. But I graduated where I was just too young. I was 17. I was the youngest of my class, kind of thing. And in a class of like 5,500 students. I went to one of the high schools that literally had 3 high schools combined. So even though it was a few cities that were with each other, you had Plymouth, Canton, and Salem, all 3 high schools, and it was a quarter-mile hike between each school. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic here. That place is too big. So after high school, I got into stand-up comedy, and then I had moved out to LA for a couple of years. I lived in Laurel Canyon for a year, and I lived in West Hollywood for a year. And I was still trying to do acting and stand-up comedy. Didn't really pan out, and I ended up moving home and just so you know, I ended up moving home in a smart car with a U-Haul trailer,
Nice.
which is actually a video you can find online of me when I thought I was funny, and it's a true story that I actually did that. But then when I got here, I'm still doing stand-up, I'm still doing acting, and I guess I always like to just try and create anything. And at the time when I moved back, I was a janitor for a little while. And so I started, you know what? I'm really leading off the story here.
All right, let me take you back.
Part.
Let me pull you back a little bit.
Okay.
I think what I want to do is let's see one of your videos right now, and then we can talk about that. Tony,
Okay.
you got something up there for us?
Nets.
Nets. We're going to look at nets, Dave. Be ready.
Oh,
I'm going to have
boy.
a pop quiz after this.
Oh God.
We're back. I'm Dave Donaldson. Welcome back to Grip Tips. Today we're going to be talking about some nets. Like solid flags, cookies, silks, nets come in all different shapes and sizes. Today we'll be looking at a common size known as a 2x3 net because one side measures 2 feet wide and the other side measures at 3 feet long. If you guys haven't seen my scrims episode, I highly recommend going back and checking it out, as scrims and nets are basically the exact same thing, and they too are also color-coded. Green is a single, red is a double, and this one tends to vary depending on what company you buy it from, but blue is typically a triple. And by single, double, triple, again, we're identifying the stops in light, which are measured a half a stop at a time. Single green is a half stop, double red is 1 full stop, a triple is a stop and a half. 2 double reds are 2 full stops, also known as a home run. And something I didn't really mention in my scrims episode is that whenever you have 2.5 stops, it's also known as a grand slam, just to go above the home run thing. So if you have, say, 2 doubles and a single, that's a grand slam. If you have a triple and a double, that's a grand slam. If you have, let's say, 2 triples put together, there's kind of a joke around the industry that's basically called wrong light. You'll also notice that each net is not completely framed on all 4 sides, and that's done on purpose so that when you're throwing one of these in front of a light, you don't get a harsh shadow, you get more of a gradual fade effect. And just to show as an example, here's the side with the frame splashing against the wall, but if we flip it around, you can see that it becomes a much more softer edge. Also, a trick that I read out of a book is that let's say you have a single and a double, but the soft edge that you have is starting to become a harder edge. You can actually stagger the nets on top of each other with a couple of grip clips and get more of a feathered, tapered look to that edge that we were talking about earlier. That way, in camera, it's not distracting, it's more subtle. One other thing that I'll add is that whenever you're putting a net or some sort of diffusion in front of a light, you never want to do it at an angle like a 45 or anything like that. Especially with these nets, if you put them at an angle, you're kind of getting a cross between a single and a double or a double and a triple. You want to make sure that it's actually completely parallel with the light that's shining through it. But that is all that I have for you guys today. If you liked today's episode, please let me know in the comment section below. You can also follow me on my Twitter right here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time right here on Grip Tips. What are you doing?
Screw you!
I love your nephew, dude. Brilliant casting. Brilliant casting right there. I love it. I
You
love
did a
it.
great job.
And you've done a wonderful job of education on showing this last generation what a rotary phone is. You know, to something that you can actually dial. I love that. I haven't seen it in years.
Fun fact about that. My roommate, he what's the word I'm looking for? He likes to fabricate a lot of different things. If you're looking at that phone and you see all these wires that are hanging out of it, it's because he actually took that, wired it into our wall. It's actually an outlet that comes out both sides of that phone. And so Noah, my nephew, he's sitting there and he's like, "What is that?" or whatever. I was like, "That's a phone." He's like, "Well, I get that, but like, how does that work?" Or whatever. Try it out, man.
Dial away.
The funny thing
Dial
is,
away.
he's sitting there and he's holding the phone, and I know he can't hear anything, but he's just like, because it's dead. You know,
Yeah.
it's just there for the two
Yeah.
outlets coming out of the side, but he's just sitting there with it there. And I'm sitting there watching him do it, and I hit the record button. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, dude. Very nicely. Let me tell you something, and I think this is why how impressive your videos are. You obviously take such time in post to get them so well done, and you give those extra tips like the tilting of the double, the single. You know what I mean? Which I actually do that sometimes just to get a little more knockout on it or something. You know, to bring it down just a little bit, but. I love that. They're so well done, your graphics and everything. It's just, to me, it's way above the standard of what most of them certainly are out there. And that's why I like them and would encourage everybody to go check them out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the entire channel it's 110% done by me. I've done all the 3D graphics. I've done all the, well, just regular 2D graphics, the animation. That song actually, that is from my buddies. They're no longer a band anymore, but their name's Andreka. And I asked them, I said, do you guys mind if I use this as like an intro with it? He goes, yeah, sure, whatever. You know, go ahead.
So awesome.
You know, and so
that's great.
But they were nice enough to let me use that. And it's funny because most people will say like, oh, we love what you guys are doing over there. And I'm like, it's like me and Sean, my roommate. Like, and then Sean's only there maybe out of all the episodes, I think he's helped me 5 or 6 times just because like I needed a really attractive model.
Yeah.
And Sean's a beautiful bearded man. So
yeah, that's great.
But,
that's great.
That particular time, that was my nephew, and he was staying the night because you know, I think he kind of looks up to me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Matter of fact, he's got his own streaming channel. And he was over spending the night, and we were playing video games, and I was like, hey, you want to help me make an episode? He's like, yeah.
That's so great.
I was like, let's do it. Let's do nets.
That's so great. Yeah, and what do we got next, Tony? What else? Goalpost. Let's watch the goalpost. Then we'll talk about that. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. We're back. I'm Dave Donaldson. Welcome back to Grip Tips. Today we're going to redo the goalpost rig. So last week I tried to do this live, and it was an absolute show. I mean, there's clearly some things about live that I still have to learn, but that's okay because we're going to redo the rig that we did last week, except we're going to go into more detail. We're going to show you some up-close shots like we've been doing on this show, so let's get right into it. In order to set up a goalpost rig, you will need 2 big bend clamps, 2 combo stands, and some speed rail to your desired length. You're going to start by setting up 2 combo stands with 1 leg from each stand pointing in the direction of the load. Also make sure that the grip heads on your stands are in the orientation of the right-hand rule. We're not going to use these at first, but it's a very good common practice to do so. Next, take your big bend clamp and insert the male junior pin into the combo stand and loosen the clamp until it opens. Also make sure to drop another big bend on the other side with the other stand and then place in your speed rail. Close the clamp on the speed rail and that's it. You're done. That's the basics of a goalpost rig. Now you can start rigging lights, clamps, or whatever you have planned. Another question that I got when we went live is, can you separate the speed rail into different sections and still build the same rig, or is that not going to be rigid enough? Because let's say you drive something that's very small, like a smart car or a Ford Fiesta, and you just need to be able to, you still want this rig, but you want to be able to fit it into your car. And that's totally fine. This is a very common practice. Let's get into that. You're basically just going to be using a coupler. I have 2 8-foot speed rails that I'm going to couple together, and that will give me 16 feet in length. Using this setup also begs the question of how much can you actually put on this rig now that the speed rail is split. I did this when I went live, so I'm going to do it here again to show you that basically the answer is quite a bit. Now obviously I don't recommend that you do this, but I just wanted to show you guys I weigh 224 pounds and it was able to support me, and yes, I was nervous that I was going to fall and break my ass. Now really, here's the only problem with this rig. Is that even though I have it all together, there's really no way for me to do this just by myself. I could inch it up on the stand to eventually the height that I want, but I'm trying to work a little bit faster by myself. So here's another method that you can try if you're doing this by yourself, but I don't know if I necessarily recommend it. I haven't done it a lot, but some people say that you can take ears and place them on the sides of them instead of the big bend clamps. and then you can raise up on the gobo head as it's going to pivot around the gobo head as you lift. So that's the basics of a goalpost rig. It's not hard stuff. It's just a way to know that in the back of your brain, if somebody says, let's build an 8-foot goalpost rig or a 20-foot goalpost rig, at least you know what that is now. And then from there, your setups will be a lot quicker. It's just terminology stuff, but don't overthink it. That is all that we have for today. If you like today's episode, please let me know in the comment section below. You can also follow me on my Twitter right here. Don't forget that subscribe button. See you next time right here on Grip Tips.
Awesome work, my man. Very nice. Very nice.
Thanks.
You know what? And you've told me this before, but give me an idea to make the net video that you did, and you make those all in your home too. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
And tell me what you have to go through to make a video like that. Tell me about your setup.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, it's kind of okay. I've got 2 C stands, and I think it's a 5x7 green screen, and I grip clip that. I kind of make like my own, kind of like a 7x7 frame, if you want to call it that, out of the C stands, where basically I have the arms coming down and kind of making like a box shape, and then I grip clip all the way around the green screen, except for the bottom, because obviously I don't have a frame there. Mm-hmm. So that portion, then I have a 1K that is directly over my head with a Chimera softbox, and I have that on a dimmer, and I have to dim it down just a little bit because I don't have a lot of room in my condo. I mean, this isn't where I do it. It's actually down this hall and in my family room. If you've seen some of my other episodes of like what my family room looks like, not that I've done an episode like that, but I pulled a prank on Sean one time, and I guess the only way I could say it is flashed him with a bunch of speed lights in one of my episodes. And if you watch that episode, actually, I think it might have been my Cardellini episode. Anyway, so if you've seen that episode and you see like my family room of when I pulled that prank, it's all set up right there. So I've got the 1K over my head, and that 1K is literally like the stand is like right next to me. I've got a 300 down my hallway that's actually hitting the back of me just to kind of give me, an edge.
Yeah.
And then I've got a tweenie in front of me with 216 diffusion, maybe 2 feet higher than I am. And then I've got a 5D Mark III that's actually shooting me. And then what else is there? I think that might be it, just for the green screen portion.
Okay, wow. And that's in your living room. That's in your family room.
Oh,
unbelievable.
And furthermore, I don't have a teleprompter or any. I mean, I write a script, but it's actually, when you hear me do a voiceover in my show, I'm actually like this, and I'm reading it, and I'm usually blocking myself from the tweenie to try and read my phone. And I'm reading that portion because I know that I'm going to do the B-roll for it. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit there. But those other parts where I'm actually talking to the camera, it's kind of like I've written script, and it's kind of bullet pointed in my head, and then I just kind of do it.
Well, it's seamless, my friend. I would have thought you had a prompter up there, and frankly, I thought you were in a studio. That's what, until you told me you weren't, I thought you were. You do a phenomenal job, buddy. You do a phenomenal job. They're really great. How does a person find the legendary Dave Donaldson?
I guess there's 2 ways now. If you go to youtube.com, I think it's /grip tips. And then you also have my website, which is www.griptips.net.
Griptips.net. Okay, well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, you get on there. You can kind of get to see a little bit of what I mean, you don't have my resume, but you can see some things that I've done. But I've also got it as like an Amazon affiliate program kind of thing, where it's, you can see all the gear that I've actually talked about on the show, and then I post my episode next to it, on top of my T-shirts.
Yes,
which
T-shirts.
You should buy. You told me you were going to be my first customer.
You know what? I'm a filthy, dirty liar. That's why I said that. I'm a filthy, dirty liar. But I will get one. I will buy one. How much are they?
$25.
25 bucks. Okay. Where do we buy
$25.
one? How do I get one if I want one?
That's on the website. I have an actual because over time, I think that, I mean, you yourself know that like we have like all these shirts that are out there, and like I love Kino Flow as a company, but their t-shirts are too thick. They're the traditional t-shirts that we had like 20 years ago.
Sure.
God, that's awful to say. And there's like the t-shirts that you can get today. Like I'm a huge fan of Matthew's shirts that they have right now because they're made of the next level CVC t-shirts.
Yeah.
They're very soft, they're breathable. And I wanted to make sure that I kind of stayed around that too. And a lot of other YouTubers that I've seen, they've used the same type of material because I think they probably feel the same.
Yeah.
You also have, Wade Courts that you've had on the show. He's got his Scene Snipers shirt.
Yeah.
And that is like that, what do you call that? That's a, what is it? It's like an Armor All shirt, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, they're very light. Yeah, that's a nice material, really nice material.
Where you could either be like in really hot conditions and you could be cooled down, or you could be the opposite. And I think that's awesome too. And I think, so anyway, on my website, it does say apparel because yes, I have one t-shirt, but I eventually want to have multiple things that are just grip and electric related because I've seen a lot of shirts that just have nothing but camera or something in it. And again, I'm just trying to show or maybe just have something that we get to kind of rock on set because, you could see a clapboard, or you could see like I said, a camera all the time on somebody's t-shirt, but it's like, oh, you don't really get to see like a C-stand or anything on somebody's shirt.
And a guy working too. Yeah, yeah.
And that's a real photo of me, by the way.
That's a real actual photo.
It's a real actual photo. I did pose for it because I'm a poser. But
of course. Hey, I cannot thank you enough, Dave, for taking the time to doing this and doing it on the fly too. Man, thank you so much. Great stuff. And we're going to be promoting your videos here too, dude. So yeah, keep up the good work.
I appreciate it. I talk about you guys on my show now and again. So, I hope that's helping both of us, really.
It's all helping. It's all helping. We got to.
I'm gonna get to LA one of these days too.
Please. And you know, we had an idea too. We're talking about a round table. I am still playing with that idea. So we have a place we could do it, and we'll definitely. When you get out here, you will definitely be a full hour guest on the show, and we'll show a bunch of your stuff. But I'm still working on that round table, so I just wanted you to know that.
All
right, buddy.
Cool.
Thank you much.
Thanks, Burnie.
Thank you. And we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Burnie. I own Burnie's Grip and Lighting, San Diego Grip and Lighting, and Los Angeles Grip and Lighting. You know, we pride ourselves on not only renting you the best equipment, but also giving you the best crews. And one of our core values here at Burnie's Grip and Lighting is that we give you the highest production value in the world. And remember, people used to say national, local. No, we present world-class production value on every set. We also know budgets are very tight these days, and you've got 10 hours to get what you need in the can. We move ahead, we move fast, and we know what you need. When you rent from Burnie's Grip and Lighting, you have a partner on your production for that day that is making sure you are well taken care of. So anytime you're in Southern California, give us a call at 714-609-3545, and we'll take very good care of you. See you on set.
It's amazing.
I just really
I
love
liked
what
it.
Dave's
I liked
doing.
it.
You know, he does such a great job. And the first time I talked to him and called him up and asked him, hey, where are you doing these? I go, you in a studio and stuff? This guy's in his living room. He's putting up the green screen.
Amazing,
He's doing
amazing.
everything. It brings it all home.
Yeah.
That this is, anybody who is saying, I can't now, they are not trying.
Yeah, they're not trying.
You are not trying if you say I can't these days, because you can do whatever you want to do to get the word out, to build your your message
Yes.
to build yourself as somebody who's an expert, as somebody
Absolutely.
who's the go-to.
It's great.
And Dave is just a fantastic example of what to do. Thank you, Dave. Really
Great job,
appreciate
Dave.
it, buddy.
Wow.
Really
Very
appreciate
nice.
His segment's over, so he's probably not watching.
Yeah,
anymore,
that's true. That's
but
all
yeah,
right.
but thank you, Dave. That was really, really great, buddy. And we're going to be doing a lot more with Dave as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I just want to know one thing. What's 3 doubles?
3 doubles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you want to know.
Yeah, I want to know. Is that
3
called a
doubles.
win-win or something?
If a grand slam is if a grand slam is 2 doubles and a single,
Right.
then 3 doubles has got to be out of the ballpark.
There we go.
Out
Yeah,
of
we just
the
came
ball-
up with
it's
we
just
just
out of the
came up with a
ballpark.
new one.
Yeah, take me out of the ballpark.
Take me out.
All right, 3 doubles are there. Of course, to which I suggest possibly a smaller light.
Oh, that part.
You know what? By the time you've got 3 doubles,
Right.
you know what I mean?
3 doubles? Yeah, you need
probably-
another grip truck.
You're probably going the wrong direction.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's great. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a couple things today too. We're going to have a couple of notes from past shows. So I'm going to show you a little bit of interviews I've done in the past.
Oh, very nice.
And then we're going to talk about several things, you know, that I'm doing. But I think the first one that I want to do, because and we're going to discuss this a little bit after this little segment we're going to watch, is, you know, I guess the approach is, you know, we talked about with Terry, we talked about, you know, you do that first initial part of your career, and everything's exciting.
Right.
Every new job is wonderful. You know what I mean?
Sure.
All that. Then you start down the line, and now you got to deal with some political stuff. And I think I'm going to talk specifically of something that someone asked me today about a problem. But I think this first clip that we're going to watch delves into that a little bit.
Great.
And then when we come back from it, you know what I mean, I want you and I to discuss a little bit, because this is something we've been through. This is something I think you go through all of the time on both ends
Sure.
of the spectrum, you know,
Absolutely.
beginning and end. So are we ready, Sean, with that clip of Mike Kirsch? Okay. Yeah. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll just come back. Gary and I will yak it up.
That'd be great.
I do a lot of social media, obviously. But you know what? And this is something I've been a little more down on myself for, is not making personal connections, not actually calling somebody up and seeing if they can meet in person, or go out to lunch or do something. And when you try to do it, a lot of times the people that you want to take out are busy. Your schedules don't match up. But I'm going to say this, is that it's important to still ask. It's important to still try to pursue that, because I think all of the really great things that have happened client-wise with me in probably the last 6 months have been because of face-to-face meetings.
Yep.
You know? And another thing that I don't know, this is not really that maybe prominent in our industry, but it's still very important. And I've learned the importance of this through Kevin Allen, who's a part owner of the Applebox network. Events, attending events. And you know, for all of us, just like when you describe a day of yours, or I describe a day of mine, and it gets a little busier in the afternoon, well, that's not the normal workflow for people. But I've been going to some events, some non-media and some media. Boy, the difference in going to events is amazing.
Like,
It's
are
amazing.
you talking about stuff like NAB?
Oh,
CES?
NAB. Well, that's an event on steroids. You know what I mean? I'm thinking
You're
of
talking smaller
yeah,
local
with
events.
Greg Flores with gripsupport.com and Grip Rigs. He invited me to go to Chapman Leonard with him, and I am telling you, I was Facebook friends with a lot of people in Hollywood and LA and all that. Man, I got to meet everybody, and it was just amazing. I mean, seeing these people that I had actually conversed with for 5 years. You run into them. Facebook. Matt Workman was another one who I met there. I had never met in person. We see him, and it's just like instant, like, give me a hug. You know what I mean? And to make that personal connection, it just made such a huge difference. You know?
I find part of it is also, not just calling people when you need them, like not when you're looking for work. I just made a couple of these calls this week because I realized I hadn't in a long time, but a colleague of mine who I hadn't talked to in a while, I just picked up the phone and I left him a message. I'm like, hey, just realized we hadn't talked in a while, and I don't have a job. I don't think you have one for me. I'm just saying hello.
All right, gotta go.
Yeah, and guys like us, like not just like us, but anyone, you don't always have time to go to lunch. And think about it. If I call you up and say, hey, Burnie, you want to meet for a coffee? In fact, this reminds me of an article I read a few years ago. But we want to meet for a coffee. It's like, okay, I'd love to sit with you for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I've got to stop what I'm doing mentally. I've got to get in my car. I've got to drive 20 minutes to go meet at whatever coffee house we're meeting at. Then we're going to wait in line for a few minutes. Then we're going to drink.
Right.
So the 15-minute coffee takes 2.5, 3 hours out of your day.
Right.
And so not for not wanting to see people, but partially sometimes that's why it can be hard to like schedule
Just the
a lunch
economics of getting
just
around.
the economics of the time. I mean, that can be a third to a half of a day.
Yes.
And so unless what I often try to do is combine things. Like if I know I've got a client meeting, near the airport, and I know so-and-so has an office near the airport, and so-and-so has an office then back down towards me, I'll try and schedule a bunch of things in a given day.
Yeah.
So that, okay, Tuesday I just know I'm not going to be able to get anything else done, but I'll meet with all these people.
That's a really
Because
good.
if you're going out every day trying to meet one person, you end up losing half your time.
Yeah,
So
it's
a
very
hard
time
balance. It's a really
consuming.
difficult balance.
And we're in and like most media markets, they are in a larger community. We are certainly in a huge community here in the Los Angeles, Orange County / San Diego area. You know what I mean? When we get on the road, I mean, it can take hours.
Yeah.
Hours and hours, literally, to just go 40 miles.
Yeah.
It's an all-day thing. So yeah, that's really important. I think another thing too is, and we're back sort of to the electronics, a quick text to somebody, just a, hey buddy, long time no talk to, how you doing? You've been working much, you've been doing this, that's the common thing, you know what I mean, with everybody wants to talk about the work, how you doing, where are you at, because none of us, and you've probably learned this now more as a freelancer, if you're not working, the one thing that can soothe your nerves is to hear somebody you think is better than you not working. Because that means no one's working.
Yeah, but then on the other side of it, you hear like so-and-so's crushing it, and you're like, no, why
what's
them?
going
Why not
on?
me?
No, that should be me.
Who's
That
your
should be
client?
Well,
when can I steal them?
you know what, too? There is a thing with me, and I consider it an illness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I cannot look at a set, whether it's on Facebook or in the real world or hear about it from somebody, and not want to be on that set.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
It's just the
like,
worst.
I could
Why
do
didn't
that.
I get that call?
I could do that.
I'm not even. So you and I, we've been working together a long time, but I'm primarily a director, and a producer. I produce my own projects.
Right.
So really, with the exception of a handful of times in the last 15 years, you don't call me to go grip for you on stuff.
Right.
But that doesn't stop me every time
I
see
did get you the Rolling Stones,
You
though.
did get me the Rolling Stones. Thank you for that one.
Yeah, that's worth 5.
That was
That's
worth
5 or 10, maybe.
But my point is,
All right.
I have no expectation that you're going to call me for jobs, and yet every time I see you post a thing, I'm like, well, how come that's not my job? Why aren't I directing that? Like,
What happened? Bernie not throw my name out there?
I know,
or what?
right?
You know what I mean?
So, but you're right. It is. It's just
is.
a mental thing, and you look at, especially with your colleagues, and and
Oh, yeah.
you're like, oh well, why did I miss that job, or why am I not doing that kind of job?
Oh yeah.
It
Or
never ends. It
one
never ends.
of my fellow truck owners here in Orange County go, they got that, huh? Okay, but
hard.
when I truly, and this is where I think the trick is, you need to be objective. You need to really have the truest sense. And here's what I do. I step back from my emotions. I step back from my immediate feelings. And that usually happens when I feel like I'm needing a few more jobs that week or something, to make it. And my nut is insane.
Yeah.
No good business person would have the nut I have.
No. You
I'm-
have, because you have inventory.
Well, I have
too.
three tons,
Yeah.
and then I have a warehouse full of stuff, and I have
Right.
2 vans
Right.
that are outfitted. So, I mean, I'm probably realistically, I'm overloaded for my market. But when those times come in
Yeah, you're
and
prepared.
everything's working, I mean, you're making bank. So it doesn't have to happen all the time, but it has to happen and always has happened on a regular enough basis for me to justify everything. You know what I mean? You know what I loved about that discussion is that is a subject that just comes up all the time. Clients, getting new clients. You know, and you know what I think, and Mike is a real go-getter. I mean, he does a lot of great stuff, and he's working it. It's the guys like you and I that forget all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And we are not out there. We're managing our careers now.
Sure.
We're doing what's coming in, but we're not going out
We're
and
not
building
and promoting. Yes.
Let me tell you, Gary, about, and it's kind of along these lines, a call I got this morning. Somebody called me and they were talking about that they're young, they're going out, and there's that whole new group. You know how you group together with the guys that are about on your level, and you're going out doing it, moving right along. Person's a real go-getter, and I mean, they go out, and he's meeting people at events, he's following up,
Networking.
he's doing all kinds of really good networking. Yes, right. And the one thing that he has noticed is a lot of people are coming to him for advice, other producers, his peers.
Oh, yeah.
Yet, when the time comes for the call, they're bypassing him and going to somebody else. Now, this is something that's obviously not good for you, right? And it's not 100%, but it's enough where he's noticing it, and he needs a little more work, like all new guys do, you know? So here's what I told him. I said in that, number one, that knowledge base that you have is yours.
Right.
That's your asset.
You own it.
That's your asset. That's what you're selling. That's what you're going out and delivering to the client, you know? And he's got people coming up, how would you do this? And of course he's, you know, like all of us, we yak, because we love the business. That's what we want to talk about, you know?
It's true.
And he said it was happening and gave me an example of a situation. And it was kind of like, you know, the person called him, but then called another guy that he works with to actually do the job, you know.
Right.
And, you know, we discussed it. It could have been a little bit of pricing, you know, and he was probably higher than the other guy and stuff like that.
Sure.
Also, there's a thing like you know, here's where I come down on this. You know, is it ethical for the other guy getting the call to take the job? And frankly, I say yes. Because no one owns a client. A client can go to whomever they want to for whatever reason they want to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
And you can't control that. You can only put yourself out there. Now, if that happens, you know you need more clients.
Oh, yeah.
And you need a more loyal client. Is that? But you can't say to the guy, don't take that client because that's just going to lose that guy the job. He's going somewhere else. I mean, if he's not happy with you. So, you know, my advice was essentially, one, now you're more mature in the industry. Be careful who you're introducing your clients to.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Be careful who you're bringing on set. You should be the top dog on your set.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everybody on that set should be working for you to impress your clients. Okay?
Absolutely.
And I also told them that if one of your contemporaries or your client, you know, is asking for too much information, if you will, you know what I mean, and look at that with new eyes, kick him in the balls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell him, like, hey, if you want my information, that's what I'm selling.
Sure.
So we can go into this project together if you'd like to, but for right now, that's all I'm comfortable with sharing with you.
Absolutely.
And boy, to me, that puts the meat on the table right there.
Yeah, right there.
That is, if you want it, come and get it, but it's this much on the menu.
Yes, I've been in situations before where it's a big crew.
Yeah.
And producers shaking hands at the end of the at the end of the shoot, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this one guy get to his back wallet and flick out the business card.
Yeah.
And so the client goes and he's wrapping up his stuff, and I went to
this other guy. I said, hey, what's with the card? He goes, oh, well, he was interested in my lighting package. And I go, well, this is my shoot.
Yeah.
You know, why are you doing that? And his answer was, oh, you know what? It's a free country. I can do whatever I want.
Oh, great. Then you can not be on my shoot next time.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I told him.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah. And
great.
I said, expect you're paying about net 60.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. You know, but here's what it is. And there's a little bit that I would say can be forgiven in the first starting out in your career because you don't know these things.
Sure.
You know, you have a tendency to think everybody is going to view the world the same way you view it.
Sure.
But that's not the case. And especially if you're dealing with people who are starting out. You know, it is, I mean, the most important thing is get on set.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The most important thing is get the job.
Yeah,
you know what I
absolutely.
mean? You're not looking at the bigger picture, and that's what you have to view.
Sure.
So I can forgive a little bit, you know, starting out, but like I told this individual, I go, now is the time. You've built a base.
Yes.
You've got clients. You've got contemporaries. Now is the time where you have to start maybe telling people the rules.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way it works. And don't be afraid to cut someone off.
Yes.
Client
Yes.
or client or contemporary.
Contemporary,
You know,
sure.
because
Fellow freelancer.
yeah, because you've got to do that. It's your career that you're looking at. You don't let people walk over your career. I know in my career, when I started out, I was a little too open, you know? And this is not, look, I'm an open book anyway. You can ask me almost anything and I'll babble on until you walk away.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
But this is something that you have to be careful of. You know what I mean? I've been with clients that have literally kept me on the phone for 3 hours talking about lighting. And you do it because, you know, first of all, I'm interested in it.
Sure,
You know, I actually like talking about it,
Absolutely.
you know. But that is way too far and way too so declaring somebody interested, and all of your associates should be doing everything they can to make you successful, and vice versa too. You should be doing everything to make your associates successful. And I come down to it for this one reason only. If everyone around me is successful, what am I going to be?
Right.
It's the simplest thing in the world, dude.
Yeah.
You should always be looking to make other people successful because that makes you successful. Very selfish.
Well, here's the deal. You know, as soon as you start in this business, you know, putting people down,
Yeah, you're done.
it's negative. Negative creates negative. Positive creates positive.
That's right.
That's
right.
the biggest picture.
That's right.
And you know, that's that old saying: what comes around goes around.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you start dumping on somebody, oh, he can't do this, can't do that. Well, guess what? It might not be coming back from him,
Yeah.
or the guy you're putting down, but could be other guys listening to you and going, wow, oh, Gary's putting him down. Well, I'm going to put Gary down.
Yeah,
You know,
no. That is a road that leads to nowhere. That's
nowhere, dead end.
If you feel like you've got to badmouth somebody, okay,
To get ahead.
to get ahead, you should not even be associating with that person. That's the person you need to get out of your life.
Right.
Even if it's at the moment not wise. I mean, use your judgment. But I'll tell you, I would rather be away from that negativity because I think that's going to do me more harm than actually not getting a job with that person.
And the producer doesn't want to hear negativity. That's the last thing he
no
wants
one
to
wants
hear.
to hear negativity.
No,
No
they
one
don't
wants
want.
to hear it. And I just say this is that I am not afraid of losing anyone.
Right.
Whether it's a contemporary, it's a guy working for me, whether it's a client, because my conscience is clean. I know I have treated everybody up and down the food chain with openness and honesty.
And respect.
And respect, of course.
Key.
Respect is key. That is for sure. But I know I can walk away with my head held high and know that I've done everything right. So I don't worry about that stuff. You know,
Right,
if somebody's
right.
going to go away, they're going to go away.
Absolutely.
You know?
I agree.
If I can say to somebody, you're not playing anymore, then I know why.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And it's the full circle. It's that you got to go out, you got to grab new customers, you got to go, and you got to do a great job on that shoot day, and then retaining the customer.
Gosh, that's so true.
You gotta retain
It's one
the
thing to get a
customer.
customer, but one-offs are not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
It's that person who always wants to come back. That's the person.
it.
And you know, that is so simple, and I think that is being honest. And that's what guys in our portion of the industry, our timeline in the industry, fail. Because they fail to go out and recruit new people.
That's it.
And part of it, just guys our age, you know what I mean, have a tendency to ignore the guys who are in that 20 to 30-year-old age group.
Sure.
And say, oh, well, you know, I've been doing this for years, they're still coming up. You need to embrace those people. If you're a guy like us who is seasoned, you need to embrace the new people, bring them in, and let them start working with you. Because I'll tell you what, if you're waiting for your contemporaries to hire you again, a long wait,
It'll be
my
a
friends.
long wait.
A long
Take
wait.
a number.
That's right. That's right. You should always be promoting yourself. Always
All
be
the time.
looking for new clients.
New clients.
Younger clients.
Absolutely. And you got to remember one thing. You know, a producer's given a budget,
Yeah.
and they know that they've got their hard costs, which is us.
Right.
Equipment, personnel. So, yes, numbers are important, but on the other hand, you have to assure your client that, hey, listen, yeah, you can hire somebody with a lower budget, but will you have that same client coming back to you because you hired guys that really aren't on the ball, they're not the greatest latest
Oh my
gear?
gosh, you better
And
be
then,
real
you know,
careful.
what are you saving? A couple $100?
Yeah.
And you've lost that client.
Exactly, Gary. Don't stop at Home Depot and pick the guys up before the shoot. I say that time and time again.
Oh, yes.
You know, but it's so important. You know, I think in many cases, and maybe it's whatever job, first of all, I'm thinking who plays well together, not just what do they know, because I have to have a certain standard of guys that are out there, but what is the attitude like? Who will they be working with? You know what I mean? Can I depend on this group to get
Sure.
along and everybody plays nice and stuff like that? So personality and the way they present to a client is so important. Just case in fact, you know, just a guy I sent out, first time client, sent him out with a week with a gaffer, Jeff Stevenson, in fact, you know, and they loved Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
They loved Jeff. They didn't fall in love with my C-stand or my truck. They fell in love with Jeff. They go,
Sure.
we want Jeff back every
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So what they're telling me is we want to use you, we want Jeff, we want the whole thing just like it was
Yeah.
because it was perfect. That's all I need to know. And that guy got me and kept that job. I
Yeah,
got the
there you
job.
go.
He kept the client.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, Bernie, retaining clients is a key. You know, the I call it the third module.
Yeah.
And keeping professional in his business. And the one thing I always did was that I sent him a Starbucks card.
I remember.
In the invoice.
I remember.
That put me on the map.
No, it totally did.
And it was I
totally
was going
did.
to Starbucks anyways, getting
Yeah,
coffee in
yeah.
the morning.
No,
so
I-
I'd buy 10.
I completely remember that.
Yeah.
People would jump out of the car. I got your I
Yeah.
got your coupons here. You know what I mean? It was like $5, and you're spending $5.
It was a win-win.
Great. And you know, Mike had that thing too. Call somebody when it's not about work. Call somebody when you're not just looking for work. How are you doing? Let's hear
Yeah.
your story.
Absolutely.
I try to do that, but the time always eats me up.
Yeah.
You know.
And so if it isn't verbal, send him an email.
Send them an email.
A text,
Exactly.
anything.
And I like that Starbucks idea too, because I've seen it work.
Yeah, and I own stock in Starbucks, so keep buying.
I keep buying. All right, everybody. I think that's about it. Well, listen, thanks a lot. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Bernie, for having
It's
me
been
on.
great. It's been great.
you.
And thank you all. Thanks for watching. And we will be back next Friday at 2 p.m. on Applebox
2
Network.
p.m. next
We'll see
Friday.
you there. All right. Thanks a lot. Cut. That's a wrap.